Good morning.
Morning, brother.
Can
Nice
you hear
to
me?
hear your voice. I can hear you
Yeah,
loud
I
and
know.
clear.
I've never gone live before with any of my content. All the places that I go, there's no reception, and so that's why I don't have any live content. But um, on June 16th, 2021, me and six other people had a encounter with four Sasquatch that lasted an hour and 15 minutes, and it forever changed my life.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And since that time,
Let's get into it.
yeah, since that time, I've become a Sasquatch research investigator here in Washington State. I have 12 different research locations, and all kinds of crazy experiences. Stuff from like my brother being pushed by something we couldn't see that laughed at us. He flew like 12
Mm-hmm.
feet, did a full frontal flip. He also got held down. I had a gifting relationship with a family of Sasquatch. I estimate between 2 to 3 dozen that lasted for about 5 or 6 months at one of my research locations. Just all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I got stuff that nobody has. For example of that would be like I have video of a Sasquatch that's cloaked that in the video you could see it blink, which implies that it's biological. Um, and
Yeah.
then I have all kinds of stuff. I have over 10,000 photographs and hundreds of hours of video.
Nice. Wow, brother. That's pretty interesting. We'd love to see some of that sometime. You should be posting that. Do you have a YouTube or anything like that, or we can check out?
Like I said, this is the first time I've even ever gone live. I'm not the type of person that really. I don't think I could do my own YouTube
It's
channel.
just for
I don't.
you, kind of thing. Like, yeah, you're not out there to make a channel out of this. You're just experiencing and going with it, right?
That's exactly the point. Like I go out for the
Mm-hmm.
experiences, and I do have a TikTok channel that shows, a lot of my work, a lot of my photos, some of my videos, and that kind of stuff. And I have
Mm-hmm.
the plan to put it down on paper, right? So I will eventually write some books. Is something that I'm super capable of. But the my
Mm-hmm.
whole point behind what I was listening to you earlier speak about, like the different kinds that are around just the United States and around the world. Um, I've had
Mm-hmm.
experiences like, for instance, one of the more crazy experiences that I had was um, I had a lighter that disappeared uh, when I was out squatching
Oh my.
up in Little Nat Cheese over off Chinook Pass here in Washington State.
Okay.
And that lighter,
Yeah.
one night I was coming out from my house to go out to my shop, and there was something in the sky, and the thing in the sky started beaming down a light, and I looked at it. I was like, "That's nuts! I got to go get my nephew so I know that I'm not crazy." And I went into the shop, and my nephew came out with me, and it still was in the sky. And then another light started shining down from it, and it freaked me out a little bit. And I went into the my shop, and I was like, you know what, I'm not going to deal with that. That's just crazy. And then I reached into my pocket to light a cigarette, and I pulled out the lighter that had disappeared 2 months prior while I was squatching over 150 miles away. It just appeared in my pocket. So I've had
That's what I
some.
say. I've said that many times that these guys, this is how they, they're coming at you full force by the sounds of it, like in their
Well, yeah.
interdimensional ways and showing you and giving you, experiences. And this is another way. I explain this all the time, and I go like this: they'll literally take your stuff, and then it will be back. And like you had, it was 150 miles away or whatever you just said, right? Like that's a good one, bro. That's a for sure sign
Yeah,
right there, I'd say.
yeah, it's
Like
just the
100%.
very that's just the very tippity tip of the iceberg right there, my friend. Like after that happened,
Mhm.
I was super deep into research because when it all started, I had in 2 months, I had 8 encounters in 2 months, and I was trying to figure out what was wrong with me. Why am I having all these experiences when other people historically that I had seen have only been like they're out in the deep woods somewhere, out somewhere, and they have just a glimpse or just one experience. But I since that day, um, my very
You're
first
special, bro.
encounter,
That's why.
yeah, since that very first encounter, the experiences haven't stopped. And then I
Hmm.
actually got so wigged out by the thing in the sky that I stopped doing research for a couple months. I was like, F this. I'm not gonna I'm not gonna do this anymore because that's freaky. And then my sister ended up passing that year in November, and I guess as a result of that, I was like trying to find a way to grieve. And one of the last things that she did with me was she went squatching with me at Nisqually Riverbend Campground here in Washington State, and we had a 4 night experience there. Um, and then when she passed, that's when I first started. Like a month after she had passed is when I first started sharing the things that had happened to me. And at that point, I hadn't found my main research location yet, but um, I started sharing stuff, and then I started figuring out that there are other people that have had experiences kind of like me. And I was like, well, why is
Hmm.
the majority part of the Sasquatch community, why are they like they just believe that they're flesh and blood, but everything that I've experienced shows that they're both flesh and blood, and there's a paranormal aspect to them. And so since then,
100%.
what's that?
I said 100%.
Yeah, like so most of the
100%.
community, the people that have been doing this research for decades, I mean, no offense to them, but a lot of them are wrong. The vast majority of them, what they think
Yep.
they know about Sasquatch are wrong. And I could speak it from personal experience. So you can imagine as
Hmm.
somebody that has had experiences that are on the paranormal side and the flesh and blood side, when I try to bring that to the forefront, I've gotten all kinds of bullying, all kinds of trolls and stuff that you know make
Oh,
fun of
yeah.
me or whatever
That
they
comes
want to
with this
do.
territory. When
Yeah,
we talk about
and
this
so
stuff, it just comes with it. You got to be ready for it, right?
yeah, I had to develop some thicker skin, and I guess the last year and a half or so, I've been developing some thicker skin, and all kinds of really weird instances happened. Like a week after my first encounter, I was contacted by Matt Moneymaker from Finding Bigfoot, and he wanted to
Hmm.
know where my location was. And I was like, I'm not going to share that with you. First of all, it was my brother that showed me it. So my brother, when he contacted me, there's a whole big story behind my first experience. My brother, he is an avid outdoors person, right? And he's a hunter, fisher. He does like quads and dirt bikes, mushroom
Hmm.
hunting, rock hounding. He spends the majority of his life out in the woods. And I've known him for, 30 years. And every single time I brought the subject up to him, he'd laugh at me. He'd say Sasquatch are not real. And I said, well, what would you ever do if you ran into one? He said, well, I'd shoot one in the face. Right. And that was his answer. And so in 2020,
Yeah.
a year before my encounter, I got a phone call from him, and we hadn't spoke. He's my sister's ex-husband, right? They had a real messy divorce. We hadn't spoken in years. But he gave me a phone call. He's, oh, you're not going to believe what happened to me. I was like, what? And he started going on explaining his 3 night encounter with Sasquatch up in the mountains. And so a year later is when I ended up over there and going over for my niece's graduation at Sela High School in Eastern Washington. And what she wanted to do, because they're outdoorsy type people, for celebrating her graduation, she wanted to go rock hounding. So we went up to
Hmm.
Chinook Pass and we did some rock hounding. And then that night is when the first experience took place. Um, so when the first experience took place, something really odd happened. Like when I seen them, I wasn't afraid. I had this overwhelming sense of curiosity. Like I felt like I was a tiny child again, like I was 3, 4, or 5 years old again. And that basically is what kicked
I've had
everything
very
off. And then,
similar feelings too.
yeah, I've been hit with infrasound so many times. I've had some negative experiences too. Like I know we're doing this live, and I have to go here just in about 5 minutes because I got to get ready for work. But we could sit here
Hmm.
for weeks, and I could just continue to talk and tell you the things I've experienced. And I think that has to do more so with my approach than anything else. Just my approach is, I think, a little bit different than most people on how and what I do. And from my research, like I've looked into a lot of the indigenous people's experiences and what they have said to be true, and then I've gone with
Yeah.
that, and that I have found to be the most revealing. Like that speaks the most truth to me.
It is. That's exactly the way I see it as well, man. You know, like I follow more of that more than anything. I have native blood in me. I am native, right? Not from these areas, but in the interior of British Columbia is where my people come from. And
Yeah,
yeah, no, they vary from all cultures here in all different areas, right? But you know where I come from, like where I am living right now. I don't know if I've told you this, but I just live in British Columbia, Mission, BC, right across the border from Washington.
oh, so
Like literally, I'm
we're
on
kind
the
of
border
neighbors then. I
basically.
live Yeah, I
Oh,
live in Lacey, Washington. And I have activity
oh
at my
yeah.
house almost every night. Like I have stuff happening at my house almost every night. Um, Whenever I go out into the woods, I always have experiences. I always capture stuff on film. And what I
Hmm.
contribute that to, I really truly believe that the very first encounter that lasted so long with the four Sasquatch, it's almost like a veil was lifted. And now that I know the truth, like more truth is accessible to me, if that makes any sense.
100% it does. It is what it is, and that's how it works, man. It really does. Once they know, you know, the game is on. As ORD, my friend would hear, he would say that, right? Once they know, you know, it's on, right? And it,
Yeah,
it
yeah,
depends because you can be in contact with, like you said, not I don't like to say bad Sasquatch or bad ones, but like they're just like people, man. There's I say there's helpers, like there's interdimensional helpers. They give life essence and help. And then there's
right.
interdimensional stealers. They take, right? And that's kind of how they operate. It's interesting for sure, man.
Yeah,
Pretty
I
wild.
believe that
Yeah,
they
I'd love
are
to chat
another
with
type
you.
of people.
Mhm.
I believe that they're another type of people, and when you look at the difference between like a skunk ape, what you would find down in Florida or hear reports about, and then you hear about the few different kind that are up here in the Pacific Northwest, I think that's just a matter of different races. Just like humans have different races, Sasquatch have different races. And that's kind of my
Yeah,
opinion on that.
yeah. I think it's kind of like that as well, for sure. I don't think they're different species or anything. I definitely think it's just kind of they've evolved differently in different areas of the world or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm not
But
an
but
expert
but
in the
like there
sense I
is so
believe
much more to it, right?
there's
There's so much
way
more to
so
it
the
when you
rabbit
start
hole
thinking
I
about.
have yet to find the bottom of the rabbit hole that I'm in, and I could tell you that
Yeah.
it does get weirder and stranger the further you dig down. I've had all kinds of weird things like missing time when I'm out squatching with a buddy of
Oh yeah.
mine. Like we're like,
Yeah.
where did that hour go? Stuff like that, and then documenting it too, to where writing down a timeline of the time, and I could pinpoint like when the time was gone. And they come in different ways to us too. Like they'll come through a purple mist. They'll come through like a white milky substance. You know, sometimes
Yeah.
they're super translucent, like something you'd see on a Predator movie, but you could pick them out. I can see them sometimes, not all the time. You know, if they don't want you to see them, you're not going to see them. I also have the opinion that there are way more of them out there than what people realize, just because of the
Oh,
aspects I've
100%.
experienced. You know, but yeah,
Yeah, man.
uh, I would love to come on your show live with you a couple more times and just maybe gather my
Heck yeah,
wits
man.
and not be so sporadic and just like focus in on certain experiences that I can share, you know. I
100%,
think that'd
dude.
be a
Hey,
good
hey,
thing for
if you
me, you
want,
know.
like, you can always write into me too, right? I'd love to hear everything. Like, I might not make videos. Like, I used to try to make videos like Steve does and have and read stuff like that. But I've kind of gone away from that, right? But doesn't mean I don't mind getting in the stuff. So if you ever want to send me anything, Sasquatch.Confessions at gmail.com is my email address. Like, I love getting in stories from people and just to read them and gather, right? So
Yeah,
if you're into
that
that too,
sounds
yeah,
like
send me one of those.
maybe when
Then
I finally
actually,
get up at a
we should. Yeah, this is what I'm thinking. Maybe because I'd love to have you on as because I'm going to be starting a podcast soon, right? And I'd love to have you on
okay.
because you seem to have quite a lot of stuff to talk about here. And
Yeah, I got
send me
it's
like
been I go
an
out
email, then I
walking
can
almost. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean
every
to
weekend,
trample
every
on
other
you.
day.
Yeah, I'm like
Yeah, man. But then
I
I
go
could
out
like
quite a
go
bit.
over your stuff, and then we could really get into it even more, right? That'd be
Yeah,
really
yeah. I mean,
that'd
I've
be
been gifted some really cool stuff like carved rocks with Sasquatch on them
bro.
and all kinds of really cool stuff like
I
that.
don't know. Have you seen my rock?
I don't think I have,
Have you
no.
seen my rock? Well, that's a woman carved into the rock right there. She's got a dress on. Those are her arms. Those are her legs. She's standing there. That was a man at one point. So we have man and woman on the rock. This is a symbol that the people here have been using for thousands of years. The local native people. Okay. This rock was
Okay.
gifted to me by Sasquatch. And the people that use this symbol are a Sasquatch clan. This was gifted
Interesting.
to me on their territory, bro. Literally.
That that's beautiful. I love that kind of stuff. Like I said, most of my experiences have been positive. I probably would say about 80%
Me
have been
too.
really positive, but I have had a couple moments that were kind of sketchy, like being hit with infrasound, setting off anxiety, like a panic attack and making my heart race. And
Yep. Been there.
one of the weird things about me too is I could, I can feel them when they're around. Like I literally can feel them when they're
Oh,
around.
me
And I
too.
think that kind of plays into all the experiences that I have. I know that sounds, batshit crazy, but it's not. It's really my truth
Not to
and what
me,
I'm
not
experiencing.
not to us over at Sasquatch.Confessions. Not to us over here,
You know?
brother. This is what we're all about, is spreading the truth about these beings, man. Getting it
Yeah,
out there,
and that
because
the truth
all this stuff we've been
truth is
hearing
so
for the
important
last
to
20, 30
Sasquatch.
years is, yeah, 100%. You know? People like us, we speak on their behalf, I say, because, the truth needs to get out there,
Right.
right? And we're the
But
people that are
I got to
doing it.
get going because I got to get ready for work. I just had heart surgery last
Yep.
week. I had an ablation, so I
Oh,
haven't been
damn,
out the
man.
last couple of weekends, and I'm getting antsy. I need to get back out into the woods, but I'd love to speak with you again, brother. And uh, I could give you my email address if you want, or however you want to work that
Yeah,
out.
yeah, you can send it to me in the DM there, and I will take it from there, and I'll send you an email.
Cool. That sounds good. Anyways, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and I look forward to coming on live with you again and maybe sending you some stuff.
Awesome. Thanks for coming in, Eric.
All
I
right,
think that's
man.
your
Have a
name.
good
It
rest
just
of your
says
day.
just a guy named E.
Just
All right,
yeah.
brother.
Well, I know.
Adios.
My name is Eric James. I've been a teacher for over 20 years. I'm married to my high school sweetheart of 19 years, almost 20 years.
Awesome.
I'm just your average guy.
That's beautiful.
There's nothing super special about
Yep.
me. I'm an educator. I'm a truth seeker. Um, yeah. And I'm a very
You
loving
have an
person
open
too.
mind,
That
and
I
that's
think,
why they're connecting with you.
yeah,
You
I
know.
have an open mind, and I think it also plays into how much of a loving, nurturing person I am, versus somebody that's not like that. There's a lot of things that I have found that really tie into the reason why I'm having these experiences. And I found that to be true with others that I've spoke with that have had similar experiences. There's almost like there's a makeup of people that they are willing to work with, or willing to,
There is.
yeah,
I
yeah.
call them
But
soul
I could get into all
activation
that later.
moments,
That's a
brother.
whole nother subject. That's like a whole nother subject, though. So
Let's let you get to work and get your day on.
I know I could
We'll
sit here.
chat
I
with you
trust me.
another time,
Now I
brother.
don't even want to go to work. I'd sit here for hours and talk with you. Trust me, brother. I would. But anyways, it's good talking to you. And I will
Yeah.
talk to you later. Okay.
We will chat later. Adios, brother.
All right. Bye.
And we're ended.